Hello and welcome to the Science Digest Show. Science Digest Show, a yam fiko, brought to you by SMC Consult, So Much for Christ, Vacation Initiatives in Science Africa, and then Meditouch Physiotherapy. Today on the show, we have an interesting colleague, a friend, and a virologist with University of North Carolina, their medical school, and he's in the person of Dr. Sebastian Eugene Arthur. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Viewers, today we are going to have an interesting discussion on COVID-19, and it's primarily going to be on vaccination. And
Right.
we want our doctor here to do an exposition for us and then tell us more about vaccination and all that. We have some questions that we've curated from our viewers online and from other platforms that we would like to also ask him so that he does justice to it. All right. So, Doc, can you tell us something about vaccination? Throw more light to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, vaccination is not anything new. I mean, it's been in the system. Most of us, regardless of what we have now, I mean, those who have taken the COVID-19 vaccine already, we have been vaccinated since we were children. I mean, almost everyone has some form of vaccination done, including polio and yellow fever and all that. I mean, several people have taken vaccination. So the main idea was to make sure that the body is able to fight infections. So in general, or in short, vaccination is just done to make sure that we can prevent people from getting infected. The note is that we can't use vaccination to cure, or we can use vaccination to prevent. And that is what vaccination is. And when we say vaccine, we are talking about something that is given to you. It actually goes through this, it can be through injection or through the nasal passages, just something to get into the system and incite the body to produce antibodies. When I say antibodies, I mean they are proteins that will fight a virus, and they are always specific. So the vaccine that you are being given to is specific to the infection or the virus that is going to is going to be fought against by the antibody. So it's always very specific. And the vaccine itself can be a complete virus, like total virus that is weakened, okay? Or it can be a part of the virus that is put into your system so that the body will recognize it and think that it is the real virus. So we normally say a fake virus, okay? So the body will think that is a real virus. It will produce specific antibodies to this. And also we have what we call the B cells and T cells, which produce antibodies, and they have memories. Okay, so the memory will store the information of the fake virus that came in. So when the real virus comes, because there has been an information that is saved about the virus, and antibody production is rapid, and then it can prevent an infection, a disease from developing from the infection. So vaccination is really important.
Interesting. Okay, so you saying vaccination is really important. In relation to COVID-19, would you still say same?
Yeah, I mean, it is actually one of the most important things. You know, many things have been tried. We tried going into, masking, social distancing, washing of hands, and sanitizing, and all that. But we can appreciate the fact that although these protocols are helping, they've not 100%, or they've not. I mean, most people are still getting infected, not because the practices are not right, but because not everybody is able to, conform to these practices. So until then, I mean, we need a drug, which is also not available yet. Okay, and so the vaccination is very important, which can prevent people from, one, getting it and passing it on, or getting it and falling sick, so which will burden the healthcare systems. So yes, vaccination is really important for COVID-19.
So to what extent should we fear COVID-19?
I wouldn't say you should fear COVID-19 necessarily, but I mean, it's important to realize and appreciate the effect the pandemic has on society and individuals, you know. So I wouldn't use the word fear the virus. No, what I would use is that we have to be cautious, careful. We have to appreciate what it is causing to us than to say fear. And this is because we know how many people have, you know, lost their lives all over the world. Over 2 million people have lost their lives. I mean, I'm talking about 2 million people have died. If I say lost their lives, some people underrate it, but they've died, you know, they died just like that to the virus. So to me, I wouldn't say we should fear it, but we should appreciate the deteriorating effects that it has on us and the society.
So would you say that vaccination for COVID-19 should be mandatory?
It's difficult to say it should be mandatory because not everybody can really take a vaccine because of maybe some underlying conditions they have, and it's really difficult to actually make these things that uh, is going into people's body. You know, you can't make it compulsory like that. There are ethical issues that I'm sure you know, people who are into this ethical stuff can talk about. I mean, my part is to, if at all, make a vaccine or educate people on vaccination, but not to, you know, make it like give advice to making it compulsory or anything like that. There can be some, you know, protocols put in place for people to vaccinate. The best we can do here right now is to uh, how do you call this? Just try to make sure we can convince people to take it. Okay, I mean, yeah, the word I want to use was persuade. You can persuade people to take it, but you can't force people to take it. You know, let people understand what will otherwise happen if they are not vaccinated. And if people understand that and they appreciate it, then they can take it without you forcing them. And from what I've been hearing, people have no idea what vaccinations are. People have no idea what this vaccine is and where it's coming from. I mean, these are problems that we need to address to get people to accept it. The anti-vaccine campaign has really, I mean, I would say they've done well because they've convinced a lot of people to not to accept vaccines, you know, which I think it's really bad, you know. So maybe we should also up our game in uh, debunking some of these myths.
Sure, we are upping our game. That's why Science Digest Show is having this interview with you. We are trying to also do a little bit of our quota that we can contribute to debunk some of these myths, as you rightly said. So we know that, or we are told from experts that
Right.
developing a vaccine takes a long time, and or it takes a period of time. But in the case of COVID-19, this has been accelerated. So we want to know that, do the conspiracy theories have it right to say that there's an agenda behind it? That's why this has been accelerated, and therefore it's not a potent vaccine to that effect.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting question. So basically, people I've heard that too. People are saying that this vaccine was quickly developed, and therefore maybe they planned the pandemic and then made the vaccine so they can make money out of it. We've heard that before. No, the reality is that the platforms they are using for this particular pandemic can be used for several other viruses. Okay, when they emerge, they were developed a long time ago because it's the first time we are seeing a pandemic. Okay, so the technologies that are being used to make these vaccines were already there. All they have to do is to tweak it, manipulate it to make sure that it can suit this pandemic. Talk of the mRNA virus, the mRNA vaccine. This platform was developed a long time ago, and it has been, you know, manipulated to suit this current pandemic. And then the adenovirus system was also there. It's been there, and you know, like this has been there decades ago. They're just manipulating them to make sure that it suits this particular pandemic, and that is what we are seeing.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, so you are saying this mRNA has already been there, adenovirus has already been there. So how does the mRNA, which is believed to be the genetic makeup of this virus, help in the production of the vaccine? How does it help?
Okay, that's interesting. So let me first mention that mRNA means messenger RNA. Okay, messenger RNA. It's a messenger because it only carries information that will be used by the cells to make a specific protein. Okay, now in this mRNA, we have the information which gives the cells the ability to produce a spike protein of coronavirus. So the cells make proteins which look like, okay, a protein that looks like the spike protein of the COVID virus. Okay, so the cell will realize or will recognize these proteins that have been made by itself as the virus itself. Okay, so that, like I said initially, when the real virus comes in, well, the cells have seen this spike protein before. And the spike protein is very important. I'll talk about that. So the cells have seen this spike protein before, so they can quickly make antibodies to fight the virus when it comes in. So that is how the mRNA is used. The mRNA only carries information. It doesn't really affect the cells themselves. It only carries information to the cells and tell the cell that, hey, I'm here. This information is what I'm giving you. And this information will let you make a protein. And the protein is the spike protein. Once it is done, mRNA doesn't do anything. It actually degrades. Okay, it has a short lifespan. So it will degrade and that's it. It's done with a job. And then the proteins that have been made actually hang out in the cells. They are transported to other cells. So all the cells will recognize these proteins. And these proteins cannot harm the cells. They are only telling the cells to make antibodies. Okay. And once these antibodies are made, like I said, let me say it again, when the real virus gets into the system, the body has already made preparations to attack it.
Interesting. So you said you're going to talk about the spike proteins. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, so basically what I want to say is that the spike protein is on the surface of the coronavirus, okay? And what it does is that it helps the virus to recognize the specific cell that it wants to attack, and then helps it to enter the cell, release the genetic material, and that's where they cause the disease. So spike protein is very important because it is the first part of an infection, recognizing the cells that it wants to infect, and then helps it to penetrate the cell. So once you stop these spike proteins, or once you stop the virus through the interaction with the spike protein, the virus cannot enter the cell to cause a disease. That is why the spike protein becomes very important. And I think the mutations that have been recorded are normally in the spike protein. So you can see how intelligent these viruses are. Change the spike protein, confuse the cell. So the cell will not really realize or recognize the virus, because it has changed the part that it interacts with. And find another way of getting into the cell. So spike protein is really important, and that is why the vaccines and mRNAs generated are always targeting the spike protein.
Amazing. So we've learned about spike protein today. Our viewers are grateful. Yeah, so you mentioned the adenovirus. What about it in relation to COVID-19?
Oh, okay. So adenovirus has no relationship with COVID-19. They are not friends. They are not brothers. They are not sisters. Okay. It's just that these adenoviruses are normally they cause common colds in humans and animals. The reason why they are using the adenovirus is that it can easily penetrate cells. I mean, it can easily enter cells. What we use the adenovirus for in this vaccine is that they use the packaging of adenovirus and the gene in the adenovirus to transfer the information that should rather be on the mRNA on a DNA in the adenovirus. Okay, so you have the DNA, and then a part of the DNA is broken and inserted a gene that will make the spike proteins. So once they are put in the adenovirus packaging, adenovirus will get into the cells rather easily. And once it gets into the cell, it releases the DNA. The DNA will go into the nucleus where the machinery for copying the DNA is. So the entire DNA will be copied, including that portion of the spike protein, that portion that will give information for spike protein. And that copy will make mRNA. Now, the mRNA we start with in other vaccines now is being made from the adenovirus eventually. Then again, the information on the mRNA will be used by the cell to make the spike proteins. And then it goes through the cycle again. mRNA is made, the proteins are made, the spike proteins are made, the cells will produce antibodies against it, and then immunity is attained. So adenovirus will not hurt you. It has no effect on the cell. The only thing it's doing is that it's able to enter the cell and give the information that is encoded in the gene. That's it.
Interesting. Interesting. So I know you've taken your shots. Yeah. Could you share your experience?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I took the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine, okay, which is mRNA vaccine. Um, I would say that the interesting part of that vaccination is when the injection actually goes, you don't feel anything. Okay, I was like, wait, are you done? And it's like, yeah, I'm done. Like, okay, I didn't feel anything. It's like, yeah, I'm done. But the good thing is, I'm confident the injection went in because I saw the injection about to be given. Okay, and then the next thing I heard was, like a tick sound, like that, and then it came out. Done. I didn't feel anything. Now, after some few minutes, I mean, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I started feeling some pains. The first shot I got, the pain was severe. I was feeling it in my arm. You will lift your hands and you can feel it. It's not something that is unbearable. You can bear it. So normally they will ask you to give the side of your, like the part of the body where you have much strength. So if you have much strength in the right, you are advised to take it on the left. Okay, I mean, it's up to you, whichever one you want. So because of the pain, so you can still be doing your activities while that slight pain is there. Um, and then after some few hours, I started feeling dizzy, like just tired. At some point I couldn't even walk. I mean, I was feeling lazy to walk just because I feel tired easily. And I think what I want to tell people is that these reactions come from several parts of the whole vaccination program. The first part is that the pain in the area is because you have adjuvants like chemicals that will help the cells to make the antibodies. Adjuvants in there, they are chemicals, and once they get into the system, the body reacts to it. So there will be inflammations and all that, and it will cause some pain. It's a normal process that happens for many vaccinations. You feel the pain over there, but this one it goes a bit deeper than the normal vaccinations that we've been seeing so far, and it's normal again because some of us have very strong immune system. So if your immune system is very strong, very robust, it reacts quickly to anything that gets into the body. And part of the reaction is what we feel in the reactions we see. The part of the immune system being strong is what we see in the reactions that we elicit. So I just want to let people know that you feel all these symptoms if your immune system is that strong. So don't be alarmed. However, these pains will resolve at most 72 hours, which is 3 days. Most people actually go through 24 hours and 48 hours and they are fine. So if yours is going beyond 72 hours, which is really rare, you have to talk to a medical doctor or healthcare provider. That is really rare, like I said. Another thing you also find is people, having back aches, the headache is there, intermittent headaches and all that. And yeah, total weakness of the body, like, you'll be weak, you don't want to do anything. So what I did was I took mine on a Friday because I now have the weekend. So I wouldn't go to work. And by Sunday, I was fine. I didn't feel anything, as if nothing happened. The second shot was really brief. I just got it. I felt that pain slightly for half of a day. And then the next day, some funny feeling like I'm tired, I'm not tired, that kind of thing. I think some of them are also psychological based on the first. Eventually, I was fine and I was ready to go. So it didn't last for 48 hours like it did in the first one. So yeah.
Okay. So were there any, excuse me, say side effects or reactions you had which were separate or distinct to the first dose, and then some distinct to the second dose?
No. All the reactions were the same.
Okay.
The reactions were the same. I mean, yeah, just that the first one, the first one had more. I had more reactions in the first one, like different type of reactions in the first one, but the second one was just the pain, and I think just kind of like tired a little bit. That's it, nothing else. Yeah, the headache didn't come really. Yeah,
Okay. So you're saying we shouldn't fear, we should take the vaccines, right?
yeah, that's that. I would advise that we take the vaccine and help bring this pandemic to a close because, man, I mean, some people don't believe that the vaccine will bring the pandemic to a close. But to me, if you are vaccinated and we still keep the mask on for a while to get most people vaccinated to gain that herd immunity, I think we can bring this whole thing to a stop.
Okay, just use the technical word herd immunity. What do you mean by that?
So when I say herd immunity, it's basically, like when we say herd, let's talk about like a shepherd. Okay, a shepherd. Like the head taking care of that whole thing. So basically trying to protect the majority of people or the whole people from getting infected. And to have a herd immunity, you need most of the people being able to respond to the infection in terms of having immune response to it. It can be through natural immunity. That is, if you've been infected before. Okay, if you've been infected before, then it means that you can produce some amount of antibodies against the virus, so you won't be infected anymore. Or it can be through vaccination, so that people produce the immunity. When it happens like that, you make sure that no one can transmit the virus, or you can't transmit the virus to anyone, because even if I transmit it to you, you have been infected before or you've been vaccinated. So the virus will not cause any disease in you. So that is what we call herd immunity. A majority of the people having immune response against the pandemic. And that is what we actually want to get. Some people estimate 80%, some estimate 90%. And I think it's just a matter of how many people we can get in a particular area at the same time. So if we get more people vaccinated, the better. More people infected, the better, but not good. Because if more people are infected, you should know how this pandemic is going. You never know who's going to lose their lives. So we don't want to go to more people infected. We want to go to more people vaccinated, and then we will attain our herd immunity.
Okay, more people vaccinated. So another question that comes up is, you mentioned natural immunity in your submission. So can't the body develop natural immunity to this?
Yeah, the body can. The body can. I mean, the body does develop natural immunity to every virus. But the question is, how long does this natural immunity last? And that is what has not been identified yet. And that is why it's advised that everybody, whether you've been infected before or not, you get vaccinated. However, there was an exposition that I was making recently that we have people who have never been infected take the vaccines first, because those who have been infected will have some level of immunity, definitely. Okay, so we need people whose systems are naive to the infection to be vaccinated, and then it will go down that way. I don't know if that is going to be taken. I mean, it's just something I thought will be the best way to roll out the limited amount of vaccines we have available. Then eventually we can go on to vaccinate those who have been infected. So yes, the body can produce natural immunity, but we don't know the extent to which this natural immunity will last.
All right, this is still the Science Digest show, and we are proudly brought to you by SMC Consult, Vacation Initiatives in Science Africa, which is into scientific engagement with our students in Ghana. And Dr. Sebastian Eugene here doubles as the director for VISA. And I think he should tell us something more about VISA at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, VISA is an NGO, non-governmental organization, and we find interest in educating students on practical science activities. I mean, our preliminary activities before the pandemic came in was taking students through how outbreaks occur, how scientists deal with the outbreaks, get results, and vaccines are produced, and we also discuss what vaccines are and how they can help prevent infections. So we've been focused on infectious diseases until this pandemic broke. I'm sure we'll be back very soon. Hopefully we do some virtual activities to get the students excited about science. So yes, we are all about practical science activities in Ghana and beyond.
Sure. So VISA to science it is, right?
Right. You just get a complete visa. You can travel into science, every part of science, understand exactly what you're doing.
Amazing. So what if someone wants to contact VISA? Could we get an email address or something for VISA?
Yeah, I'll put it up. I'll put the visa details out for people
Okay.
to be able to contact us for activities. And you can be a church, you can be a school, you can be a family. Just anyone at all who is interested in doing science with the awards. I mean, we look at students from the basic school to senior high school, so anyone can contact us. And we also try to organize seminars, which we're actually going to roll out the first very soon. And we'll be discussing infectious diseases in general. And we'll bring on experts to, discuss this with the general public. So
Amazing.
yeah, stay tuned and we'll bring that to you.
So viewers, stay tuned to VISA. All right. So in your submission, I heard you talk about we wearing nose masks in addition to the vaccination. Why do you say so?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about that when I was trying to talk about herd immunity. Herd immunity will take some time to reach. That is pending vaccination to the wider population. So until that is done, we have to mask up. Now, the point is this. The fact that you have been vaccinated doesn't mean you can catch the virus. It only means that you will catch the virus, but it won't take you to the severe conditions of the disease that is produced. The infection and the disease are two different things. Infection is when I can test you and tell that you have the virus in there. Remember, most people are symptomatic. Those who fall sick are the other group I'm talking about. So you can wear the mask, because if you wear the mask, you'll not even catch the virus, let alone give it to someone. Now, if I'm vaccinated, I can catch the virus and transmit it. Okay, that is a possibility here. And even with the vaccination, after some few days, not everyone will mount the immunity after some few days. Okay, until after some few days. So you can be vaccinated today, maybe a week or two, we never know. You will not have the antibodies, so the immune system will not be ready. So you can be infected and you fall sick. So when you are vaccinated, you need to mask up until we have a herd immunity attained, so that nobody can transmit the virus to anyone to cause the person to fall sick. That is why the masking is still important.
Interesting. So viewers, we have to mask up, we have to wash our hands regularly and use the hand sanitizer and keep the social or physical distance.
Distancing, right.
Yeah, sure. So to some conspiracy theories, has this got to do with 5G network or something?
No, I mean, the quick answer is no. It's no. I mean, there's no, I really don't understand how people would think that the pandemic has something to do with 5G. I mean, it doesn't really make sense from the virology I've done so far. I don't know how, unless, of course, you want to say that it's waves and it will affect the cells, make the cells weak, so that, I don't know. I mean, I just can't talk to that effect. To me, the easy answer is no. There's no relationship between 5G and the COVID-19.
Interesting. I know this, you will say it will be absurd, but some people, I saw in a video on social media, someone saying take the vaccine because he thinks there's a microchip in there that's going to monitor us. What's your take?
No, there's no microchip. There is no nanotechnology in that is going to manipulate anyone. So there's nothing in there. Now, that's one thing I tell people, that who exactly is going to manipulate who? Okay, because this vaccination that has been taken in the US, in the UK, elsewhere, it's the same thing taken everywhere. Now, if they are going to manipulate someone at all, I don't think they need vaccinations to do that. They have our data, they have everything. I mean, we have passports, we have biometric data. Okay, there are so many ways that you can be manipulated. Why would you want to think that a vaccine is going to be used to manipulate you? I'm sorry, but there's no vaccination that is intended to manipulate an individual. We all know how the pandemic has wrecked the world, and that is what scientists are, through the knowledge given to us by God, trying to fight the pandemic. So we should stop talking about technologies in there. There is no technology that is put in there to manipulate anyone.
Interesting. So there's no manipulation anywhere of the sort in terms of a microchip or nanotechnology. So feel free to go for your vaccine. Also, we want to know, has this got any side effects in terms of psychosis or mental instability?
Yeah, I mean, there is no data that shows that there is any psychotic effect from vaccination. So I know some people are saying the mRNA or the vaccine in general enter your genes and change the genes and cause no. It's not going to change anything in your gene. It's not going to affect your neural cells, that is the brain cells or anything like that. Nothing like that is in the vaccination exercise or is in the vaccine. So people should just be rest assured that they are not going to have any psychotic effect from the vaccine. At least so many people have been in the clinical trials, so many people have been vaccinated right now. Nothing has been recorded. I don't know why people think like that. I think people should be careful with the conspiracy theories out there and some of the, I don't know, the information they are getting on the media. There is no psychotic effect from the vaccination exercise going on.
Okay. I realize you're saying we should be careful about the conspiracy effect in media, but what other way can we control these conspiracies? Because they are numerous, they are many. And as you said, it's like the anti-vaccine team is on the higher side.
Yeah, I mean, we just need a lot of people on board to help educate people about the vaccine. And I think one guy I listened to genuinely didn't know what the vaccine is made up of. I mean, this particular vaccine. And he also mentioned that he knows there is RNA in there and all that, and it can enter our genes. And, you know, I mean, this is basic science that we need people to understand. I'm not saying people should know everything, but those who know should educate, okay? And those who don't know should be willing to learn and understand that it is not what they think. I was also advising or suggesting to the president that the platform he uses to educate people, to update people, can be used by himself to educate people about the vaccine. You know, I mean, he has professionals who are, advising him. I think they can give him a quick lecture. You don't need so much lecture on vaccines. You have to just come out there, tell people about it, let it give some people some kind of assurance, you know, some confidence in the exercise, and let them understand no one is going to manipulate anyone with a vaccine. But we are all trying our best to get out of this mask and the mess, you know. So yeah, I think there are several platforms that can be used. The media can help a lot in that.
Interesting. So I think one of the other things I heard over the waves that I'll ask you is, and it's got to do with the male gender or the masculine gender. Um, has this got to do with any impotence? Should men be afraid to weed on Tuesdays if they don't take care?
Oh no, I mean, the clinical trial started roughly around August, and there was several, males and females in there, and there's been no record that infertility is caused or impotency has been, recorded in any male or female from the vaccination. So in short, there is no evidence that it causes infertility in males.
Okay, so can pregnant women take the vaccine?
Okay, so the quick answer is yes. However, it is advised that certain people will speak to their healthcare providers, especially pregnant women, because we know how delicate pregnancy that period is. So I think those people should be advised to speak to their healthcare providers and get an advice from them whether they should go ahead and take it or not. But yes, there's no evidence that if you vaccinate, it's going to affect you. There is one research that was actually put out there from these, again, anti-vaxxers. Okay, they were saying that there is a protein that looks like the spike protein. Okay, I don't know. I mean, the anatomists or the doctors will know this better. The medical doctors will know this better, that this protein is somewhere hanging in there during pregnancy. And if you are given the vaccine, the spike protein that will be made looks like this particular protein. Okay. However, the real research actually suggests that this protein doesn't look like that at all. It doesn't look like the spike protein, and it has nothing in relation with the spike protein. And let me also mention that the protein they are talking about is actually involved in miscarriages. But again, this protein doesn't look like, or it's not the same as the spike protein. So there is no link with this vaccination and miscarriages.
Interesting. So we can say for some time now that pregnant women are safe, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they are safe to take the vaccination, but I would advise them to talk to their healthcare providers. And whilst we are at this, let me just also add that people who have certain or who are on certain medications should be speaking to their healthcare providers before they take this vaccine, you know, so that you don't have any counter reactions, you know. So yeah.
Okay, so drug interactions and counter reactions. Okay, so we want to know, can children also take it? Children below 18 years?
I think, well, with the vaccines that are available, at least for the Pfizer one, I think only children from, I mean, I won't say children, only people from 16 years old and above are advised to take it. I'm yet to understand the main reason why, but um, initially I was thinking that because those particular group are not super impacted by the vaccine, by the virus, that is why they are advising them only 16 people and above to take it. But I don't think that is the case. We know that most of the drugs around, actually, not the vaccine, most of the drugs around, they have an age range. I'm sure there will be some reasons why. I don't really know the exact reason why the pharmacologists or the pharmaceuticals are advising that only people who are 16 years and above will take that. But yes, there are advices that are being given that certain age groups should be taking the vaccine. Again, this is for the Pfizer that I saw. I'm sure the adenovirus will, the adenovirus mediated vaccines will also have maybe an instruction. So yeah.
Okay, so there's another question, and the question is this. Some people are talking and saying that, oh, the virus or the vaccine actually that they've brought to Ghana in particular is like, how do I put it? The less potent one, and so they are not ready to take that one. So maybe the president and the leaders take it, and after 2 weeks nothing happens to them, then maybe they'll try it.
Fair enough. I mean, not every virus, not every vaccine that has been produced so far is 100%. Some are 60, some are 70 and 90 and all that. What I always tell people is that what is important is that you get vaccinated. What might not work in one person might work in another person. So in the locality or in the area where they did the test to see that only 60% of the people were, protected, might be different for other places. However, 60% protection is better than no protection. That's what we have to understand. Procuring those ones that are super potent in quotes, like the Pfizer, which has been recorded as 90%, 95%, it's not that easy, okay, to get it into places like Ghana, which I will explain later. But with the 60% they are talking about, doesn't mean it doesn't protect at all. Okay, it only means that it can protect you to a certain level, or it can protect the population to a certain level. So why not just take it, get that level of protection, and then we move on from there. Okay, then you tell me that, okay, because it's 60%, I'm not taking it at all. Remember, 60% protection is better than no protection.
Okay. So 60% protection is better than no protection. Okay, so some people too are like, oh, this virus, I've not been infected by it, I've not been hospitalized, I've not had any COVID-19 test. So why should I take the vaccine? The vaccine is for those who are infected.
No, vaccine is not for those who are infected. In fact, those who are infected, okay, let me say this. When it comes to immunity, those who are infected become more immune than those who have not been infected. Again, your system is naive if you've never been infected. If you get infected, hopefully you survive it. If you come out of it, you have some level of protection because the body mounts immunity against the pathogen. Okay, so the virus or the bacteria, whatever that infected you, you have some level of immunity to it. But if you've never been infected, that is where you have to prevent yourself from being infected. And the only way you can prevent yourself from being infected is by inducing immunity, specifically against that agent you are trying to run away from. And the only way to do that is by either getting infected, okay, or getting vaccinated. I'd choose vaccination than getting infected because you never know, you might succumb to it if you're infected. So note, the only way to stop this whole thing from happening to an individual is by vaccinating, okay, and also obeying the protocols that have been put in place. So those who are saying that only the infected should be vaccinated, it's totally wrong. Okay, it's totally wrong. The infected actually do not need the vaccination more than the one who has never been infected.
Now the $1,000,000 question now. The question is HIV came before COVID-19. We have a vaccine for COVID-19 as of now and is running, and we have different types of the vaccine. But for HIV, we don't have. Why?
That's a very big why and a very good why. Now, HIV and SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19, are two different viruses, okay? One has the ability to hide from the immune system. One has the ability to actually attack the immune system. Okay, let me go straight to the point. HIV is a virus that affects or infects the CD4 plus, okay, CD4 T cells. I mean, these cells are the cells that actually play a key role in fighting in the immune system. They fight within the immune system. They are one of the cells that really fights, okay, pathogens. And this is the exact cell that the HIV infects. And when the HIV infects or attacks that cell, it's like you attacking the army of a country. Okay, you cripple the country by attacking the army and conquering them. So HIV goes into your system, attacks the CD4 plus cells, and then eventually, you know what will happen? Your immune system is weakened. And that is why we say that most people who have HIV have very weak immune system, because their immune system has already been attacked. Now, this immune system attack means that even if I give you a vaccine, okay, even if I give you a vaccine, you still can't make the antibodies because the immune cells are already attacked. So what is going to make the antibodies, or what is going to fight? So the key thing here is to find an alternative way of producing antibodies against the HIV virus. It's really difficult because, again, this virus is able to hide, protect itself from the immune system itself. That is not the case for the COVID, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. It's not like that. So I just don't want to focus on comparing SARS-CoV-2 and HIV because several other viruses have been, the vaccines developed against them. But HIV and some few other viruses is very difficult, and it's just because of the mode of infection, So that's what people should understand. It's not that easy to develop vaccine against HIV. And the last thing is, the HIV virus has a very high rate of mutation. It changes quickly over time. I think the last estimate I saw was 24 hours mutation rate. So it can change very quickly. So if you make a vaccine today, tomorrow it will change. So an attempt to develop a potent vaccine against HIV is going on now. And what they are trying to do is to find a way of creating a vaccine that will cater for all the mutations that HIV can produce. And with that done, I'm sure we'll bring HIV to a close. Until then, HIV is very difficult to produce a vaccine against. It's not like the SARS-CoV-2. In fact, when you look at the SARS-CoV-2, this has been there for a while now, okay, almost a year counting. I mean, more than a year. And the mutations that have been recorded are not many. The key mutations that are circulating are not many. HIV, because we don't talk about it, but there's thousands of mutations occurring each time. So that is how it becomes a bit difficult and challenging for HIV vaccine production.
Interesting. Wow. So HIV is still lingering around the corner. And we all have to be safe. All right. So another question from my viewers. Could the various vaccine forms for COVID-19, could any of them so far, the ones that have been approved, whether emergency or whatever, could any of them give someone COVID-19 or cause COVID-19 infection?
No. I mean, there's nothing in the vaccine that is potent in giving a person the infection. I mean, it's potent in giving the person the disease. Note that what is given in the vaccine is just an information to make the spike protein. And that spike protein that is made, spike protein alone, even from the raw virus, the spike protein alone cannot cause an infection. You need several other parts of the virus to cause that whole disease, okay? So that information is just an information given to the cell to make a spike protein, which is fake. It doesn't really cause anything, okay? It helps it to produce the antibodies, like I've been saying from the start. So there is nothing in any of the vaccines that will cause COVID-19.
Okay. So taking the vaccine, will it cure us? Does it have the ability to cure someone?
No, I think we should understand that there's a difference between a drug and a vaccine. The vaccine doesn't really cure. What can really cure is a drug. Okay, the vaccine is only there to prevent. So if you are infected already and you take the vaccine, it doesn't mean that you are going to get rid of the virus. That's not the duty of the vaccine in the first place. It's not for curative purposes, so it doesn't cure anyone. Okay, it only prevents you from getting infected in the first place so that you don't have to think about curing.
Okay. So when we take the first dose and then someone doesn't take the second dose, what happens?
So it's been advised that we take both doses. I mean, some other vaccines elsewhere, you don't have to. I mean, the Pfizer recently is coming out that it is potent for the first dose to be taken and you're fine. But the advice or the reason why you take a first and second dose, let me just go a bit deep. So we have what we call the priming of the system, and we have what we call the boosting. So the first part of the vaccination is what we call the priming. So getting the body ready, like getting the body recruited and getting it ready to fight or to produce antibodies. That's what we call the priming stage. So with the priming stage, you don't really have a lot of antibodies made, So what you get for the second one, which is called the booster, like the word, suggests, it's to boost the system. So that is where you make even more antibodies and making the body really potent, the cells potent in fighting the infection. That is the advice given. So the first part is priming the system, and the second part is what? Boosting the system. So this is the reason why we say that most people who have been infected must still mask up, must still protect themselves, because we never know. Maybe what you got first is just the priming stage, and you might be infected again and you will fall sick. Okay, that you might. I didn't say you will be infected and you fall. You might be infected again, you fall sick, because there's no much evidence that people can easily be infected again. So the priming stage is the first injection, and then the boosting stage is where you get a second one, and you are ready to go.
So let's say we are ready to go now. We've taken the first dose, we've taken the second dose. Are we protected for life? Is there life cover?
No, there's no. It's too early to actually tell that there is it's too early to say we have that lifetime protection against the pandemic. We are only hoping so, but until then, we can't really tell. It's too early.
Okay. So another question is this vaccination that we are going to receive something that is a conspiracy question, though, that they want to wipe away Africa, the continent of Africa? So whatever they'll bring to the continent of Africa is not what it is.
First, let me just go to a straightforward answer. No, there is nothing like that. No one has the intention through this vaccination exercise to wipe off Africa. In fact, we should understand that it is very expensive to do this vaccines and all that. Our people will need some more funding to get ourselves ready to make some of these, and that is why we will procure it from outside. And we should also trust our system. The FDA is there to test these vaccines, okay, to test the component of the vaccine to be sure that it's safe. If they've not done it, I don't know, but I'm very sure it's going to be done before it's rolled out. It is done everywhere in the world. The FDA will have to look into it before it is rolled out. So we should be rest assured that we are safe to take them. If the government says we should take them.
Okay. We should be rest assured to take them. Now, so far we know about some variants of this COVID-19, or let's say the SARS-CoV-2, right? SARS-CoV-2. So we have the South African variant, and then we have the UK variant. So will this vaccine be able to protect us from these variants and any other possible variants that may arise?
Yeah, so like I said, these are technologies that have been developed. They are very new. The platforms that are used are very, they are old, but what has been made is new for the virus. Okay, so I think there's still research going on. I think there's a study currently going on for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine to test it against most of these variants. But the Pfizer one, I think there is a research that came out to say that there is enough evidence to suggest that it can withstand the other variants. So, I mean, there is not much information on whether it can withstand all the other variants. However, I think the Oxford AstraZeneca in South Africa, they showed that it was not able to uh, protect people against the variant that is circulating in South Africa. So the researchers actually went back to look into it, and I'm sure they are still working on it to make sure that we can combat the virus, any variant of the virus that comes out. However, until then, what we have is potent enough to protect against the virus in general, and we have to be confident in it.
Interesting. So a question just popped up from one of my viewers. He says, what about herbal medicine, which many think may have the cure for COVID-19 since our ancestors were said to have survived on them?
Yeah, no one is trying to talk against the herbal medication, okay? But we can't just do anything blindly, okay? We have to be very sure that what we are doing is actually what we're expecting to be doing, and what we expect to be the outcome will be what will come out. You know, recently I think I heard that the FDA in Ghana is looking into several medicinal products, medicinal herbs, to see if they can prevent SARS-CoV-2, or they can cure cells of SARS-CoV-2. I'm not sure of the outcome of that study, but yes, no one is saying that none of the herbal medicines in Ghana would not protect you or would not cure the virus. But I'm also not saying that they can cure the virus. You know, they can cure the disease. We have to actually allow the FDA to do their work, and when they come out with something or one of those herbal medicines that are potent, good job, we got it. But I think until then, we shouldn't be, like blindly treating ourselves with anything at all, because some of these herbal medicines have chemicals that can affect our system when we overuse them or we overdose them.
Interesting. So we have to be careful for now with the herbal medical products. Okay. So my last question, is Africa ready to produce its own vaccine? Why is Africa not ready, if so?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question for me. I've always thought that the key thing to developing these vaccines is funding. Okay, you really need a lot of money to get into vaccination or vaccine production. And if our people will have, I mean, the research, my colleagues in Africa can get that much funding, I'm sure we can produce vaccines, because we are talking about very excellent scientists in Africa. We have excellent scientists in Africa who can do equally what is done in the Europes and Americas. The caveat here becomes more of funding issue. So if we can put funding in there, I'm sure the platform can be created and our able scientists will make vaccines.
Interesting. Wow. So this has been the Science Digest show, brought to you by SMC Consult, So Much for Christ, Vacation Initiatives in Science Africa, Visa to Science, and Meditouch Physiotherapy, located in Tema, Community 11, in the same building with the Church of Pentecost headquarters. Yeah. So Dr. Sebastian Eugene Alta is the one we've been talking to from University of North Carolina, their medical school. He's a virologist. He's an expert in virology. Yeah. So Doc, what will be your concluding words?
Yeah, I would just like to say that people should trust what the government is doing to help us by procuring these vaccines. Some people think it's free, so it's not really put. No, there's nothing like that. Some people have actually put money into it to save countries that would otherwise not be able to procure the ones that are already available. So yes, we should be very confident in the vaccines that are available. We need to make ourselves ready for it. We should take them, and whilst we take them, we need to mask up until we get that herd immunity attained, and get out of this pandemic. So, yeah.
Interesting, nice submissions. We are grateful to you for having time with us at this odd hour. And we know our
Thank you.
viewers are now being allayed all of their fears and all the conspiracy theories. We believe everyone will go out and take the vaccine when it's your turn to take the vaccine. And we will build a herd immunity for Ghana, and we'll say zero tolerance to COVID-19 in Ghana and perhaps to Africa and the world at large. Yeah, so Science Digest show, we always end by saying, yeah, yam no fiko, fiko, fiko. So, Dr. Sebastian, let me hear you. Science Digest show, yeah, yam no fiko, fiko, fiko. All right, see you.
Coffee, coffee, coffee,
Fiko,
coffee.
fiko. Bye.